Greetings folks. So for the past few days I've been live streaming Final Fantasy XII on YouTube, and one of the questions which is regularly popping up in chat is which version of the game should you purchase? The PS4 version of the Zodiac Age, which came out last year in the summer, or the PC version which has just recently been released on Steam. I have personally completed the PS4 version of the game last year by collecting the Platinum Trophy for that, and I've put a good few hours into the PC version, though I haven't played it as much yet. Hopefully I can give you a good idea of what to expect. Having put some thought into this then, I think the most obvious answer, and I'm trying to be as straight as I can be here with you, is that the PC version of the game is quite substantially the superior of the two. That said, there are still quite a few reasons why the PS4 version may be the platform of choice. And before we do that, let me just run through quickly why I think the PC version is the better overall version of the game to get. I should point out at the offset that the PC version of the Zodiac Age includes every bit of content that the PS4 version does, so at least on a gameplay level they are both utterly identical. There's no extra content in one over the other. That said, where the PC version is better, and this is probably going to be the number one point as to why the PC version is the better version, is the ability to play the game in 60 frames per second. So the PS4 version of Final Fantasy XII is locked to 30 FPS, and once you've played that and then tried the 60 frames per second version that is available on PC, the difference is literally the difference between night and day. It's very clear, and it's very hard to go back to that inferior frames per second. That said, the game is definitely playable in 30 frames per second, and if you'd not seen 60 frames per second, it's probably not something that would affect you anyway. So if you've only played the PS4 version, it's probably not going to be a big deal that it is locked to that particular frame rate. The PC version also has a couple of minor additions included. For example, the ability to cheat by increasing your license points to the max amount, or your gil to the max amount, simply by the click of a button by accessing the main menu, is not a feature that's available with the PS4 version of the game. It's possible this might be patched in at a later date, but there's no word of that, so right now it is something that you have to consider. Of course, that is an optional feature, quite a controversial one that a lot of people do not like or want to use, but it is worth pointing out since I'm guessing at least some people will want to use that, otherwise it wouldn't have been included. The PS4 edition of the Zodiac Age includes two versions of the game's soundtrack, the original PS2 version, which we all know from back in the day, and a brand new fully orchestrated remastered version of the same soundtrack. It's absolutely stunning to listen to, and it's a great change. Now, the PC version of the game also includes both of these options, but has also added a third option with the original soundtrack that was released on CD when the game first came out, and it is basically a higher quality version of the PS2 soundtrack, but still not orchestrated. So basically, instead of two choices as to the music that you listen to as you play, you now get three. The final minor advantage for the PC version is that the two optional game modes, that is New Game Plus and New Game Minus, can be selected to start a new game right from the very beginning. On PS4, in order to unlock New Game Plus, you would have to have completed the story at least once on normal difficulty, and to unlock New Game Minus, you would have had to have defeated the final and very difficult stage of Trial Mode. So now, on PC, both of those difficulties are unlocked immediately. And another feature of the PC edition, which is going to appeal to quite a number of players, is the ability to mod the game. Now, modding is not officially supported, but we've already seen the onset of such modding because there's examples of people changing up the license board, making it more like the original license board that came with the PS2 version of Final Fantasy XII. And as I say, I really think that's just the start of what we can expect going forward. So hopefully in a few months' time, maybe even a couple of years, we'll be seeing a lot of mods out for this game that really change things fundamentally, the difficulties, the models, and just everything else that you would expect from the modding community. So that's definitely something that the PS4 version is not able to do because of the closed system, but the PC version can. Well, that's talking about the features a little bit, but how does the port for the PC version actually play? Well, it seems that for the vast majority of people, it seems to play absolutely fine. This is actually a decent port, and one that we should be thankful for because, you know, we've had to suffer a lot of bad ports in the past. Now, that said, it's not perfect, and a few people have had some issues, and now we're going to look at some reasons. Even though I think the PC version is the superior version, while you still may prefer to purchase the PS4 version instead. Reason number one for this then is that the PC version does have some fairly steep system requirements that your computer will have to meet in order to guarantee that the game is going to run smoothly. I'd already mentioned that the PC version can run at 60 frames per second, and it's very beautiful and smooth when it does this. Unfortunately, it does state on the system requirements that you will need a beastie GTX 980 in order to do this. According to Amazon, today, the 8th of February, the GTX 980 is currently running at about £350 to £500, depending on the model that you want to get. So it's not exactly a budget graphics card. And since this game is a game that is 12 years old, okay, it's a remastered version of that game, but it's still the same game, the system requirements do seem a little bit steep. That said, there are a few instances of people reporting on Steam of being able to run the game at 60 frames per second with lower system requirements, but since that's not what is recommended, I can't vouch for those. It's up to you if you want to take the risk. Secondly, despite the fact I said that this has been a pretty good port, and it has, there still are reports of people who cannot get this game to play on PC at all. They're greeted by either a white screen or a black screen, or the game quits soon after launch. And no matter what troubleshooting steps people have tried to take, it does not seem to fix the issue. Personally, I've not had any of these problems myself, so I can't again be an expert on talking about those things, but it is worth pointing out that at least some people have not been able to play because of technical reasons. Also, it is worth mentioning, and I have made a video on this, so I will be brief, the popular Rex RNG manipulation method for forcing chests to spawn on the PS4 version of the game is not something that currently works on the PC due to how the reseeding of the numbers works once you load a save file. That said, I'm sure you can load up Cheat Engine if it's something that concerns you and get whatever it is that you want in terms of weapons. I've not tried it though, so I don't know how that works. It should also be mentioned as well, perhaps in passing, as a kind of negative, since I think this will be for some people, the PC version does run the de novo DRM, which does tend to be hated for various reasons amongst PC players. In brief conclusion then, there's no question in my mind that the PC version is the superior version of the game. That said, you do have to check the system requirements, but if you're confident your computer is up to the task, then I can't see any real reason to go for the PS4 copy of the game, unless of course it's for personal reasons. You want to sit down on your settee or in your couch or whatever, where it is you play your PS4, as opposed to sitting at a desk. Obviously that's something you have to decide for yourself, but in terms of the game itself, the PC version is the version that I would recommend. It is also worth noting as well, I should have mentioned this, that the PC version does seem to have very good controller support. I generally play with my PS4 controller, but if I unplug that, then the game automatically switches to mouse and keyboard controls. You plug an Xbox 360 controller in, it switches to that. It does have good compatibility with all of the main controllers. And as my final point, is it worth getting the PC version of the game if you already own the Zodiac Age on PS4? My personal answer, and I have to give a subjective response to this, is no, it's not. But that's just because it is the same game at the end of the day. On the other hand, if you absolutely love the idea of 60 frames per second and you relish the chance to play the game again, then maybe it would be worth for you to upgrade to the PC version. But again, I'm not going to dwell on that because that is purely subjective. But folks, that brings us to the end of this video, so thanks for staying tuned. I hope you've enjoyed and found it helpful. If you have, please let me know in the comment section. Tell us what version of the game you're playing and how you're finding it. And hopefully, we'll see you soon for more Final Fantasy XII content. Take care.